Okay, so today we're going to start a new kind of rock. This is fluorite. It's an incredibly pretty and incredibly soft rock, so you have to do it a very certain way to get a good polish. I'm going to run 3-day cycles instead of 7-day cycles in the Harbor Freight tumbler, which is really slow tumble. You check it every 3 days. A lot of them will probably be done in 3 days. We'll probably do a few cycles just to get quite a bit done. But I've got a bunch of rainbow fluorite here, just with some really pretty pieces. Got my little helper. Why don't you pick a few you like and put them in? Some colorful ones. This is a previously tumbled one that we broke, so we're going to restart it in stage 1. Only do one real big one, okay? I'll use this one. Actually, this one's cool. Put some purple in it too. Yeah, just choose some good colors you like. Yeah, that's fine. Choose any you want. Rainbow fluorite's cool because you get some variety in the colors. There's purple and green in that piece. Green tends to be the dominant color, for sure. Here's a cool one with 3 different colors in it. That one's a little too big. Well, you just put it in. It'll be fine.
So now some black.
Yeah, go ahead. Drop it in.
This one has some purple and green, like the Joker.
Yeah, that's a Joker piece. Get that put in.
Any
Cool
Joker
piece.
pieces you can put in.
Sure. Do just a couple more little ones. Just choose one more. Well, that'll be good. Do one more tiny one.
This one?
No, do like this.
It has a lot
this
of
size.
colors. It has a lot of Joker colors.
Let's see. Apparently we're liking Joker colored rocks today. Yeah, we'll throw that in. Actually helps to have the barrel a little more full than you normally would with fluorite, just because it's so soft. Helps cushion. But we're going to run this for 3 days, and then we'll talk to you then. Okay, so we're going to load up the grit. With fluorite, I am going to add just a little bit of ceramic media, just to help cushion. Like I say, it's a really soft rock. I'm going to get it where the tumbler bowl is almost completely full. It's not as full as it looks because once it starts tumbling, all these are going to go down in the middle. And then we're going to add 3 scoops. Actually, I'm only going to run 2 scoops of silicon carbide, 60-90. Some people start with 220. I'm still going to do 60-90, just less than normal. Just 2 scoops, 3 days, and then we're going to check on it. Let's see here. And you are going to want to fill it with water just to below the actual fluorite rocks. So you're not going to be able to see the water in there, but it's down about right there or so. And then we're going to run 3 days. We'll check on you then. Thanks. Just real quick while I get this loaded up here. This is going to be something that's drastically different than what I normally do. So the stages are not going to run as long. I'm going to run the whole thing. I'm not going to use the vibratory tumbler. I'm going to run the whole thing in this tumbler. And the last stage, the polish stage, instead of running wet like we normally do, we're going to do a dry polish with, let me show you. This is just corn cob media. You can get this at the rock shed. But basically this goes in dry with the aluminum oxide polish, and it just helps the really soft rocks not crack and break. But we'll still get a really nice polish. But that's the plan, and we'll check on this again in 3 days. Thanks. Okay, it's been 3 days on our fluorite. I have no idea what to expect here. Never done fluorite. Well, I can say that we did not need to change the grits at 3 days, so next time I'm just going to pull some out and look at them and try and save the grit. Should pretty easily last a week. Alright, let's look at some of our pieces. Here's my repair piece. I would say, nope, it's got a little bit, it needs to keep going. So I'm going to dare say that none of these are going to be ready at 3 days. So I'm going to go through and just make sure that I'm right on that. But I'm just going to recharge 2 scoops of grit. And in the future, run the normal 7-day cycle that I would with this tumbler. But if there's any done, I'll come back and let you know. So we did not have a single piece done. So I'm just going to reload this barrel, run it for 4 more days, and then we'll be back. Okay, we are at 7 days on our first stage of fluorite. So let's take a look at what we have. You remember when we loaded the barrel, it was almost completely full if you counted the ceramics. So we've definitely made some new space. Definitely did not completely use up the grit either. You can maybe even go longer than 7 days if you wanted, without recharging the grit. I can tell you right now, we're not going to have a ton that I'm happy with to move on yet, but maybe some. It's just still got some imperfections. It's really pretty, but that's not even close. That still needs to all be worked out. What a cool piece though. What a cool rock. That's not even close. It's interesting, this does not seem to be as soft as I expected, based on other reviews. Some people were saying they don't run a 60-90 grit stage at all. They start at 220, but maybe they're just a lot smoother rock to begin with. But we got a lot of issues here. So that piece is ready. So what I'm focused on, you can still see the texture. The grit is gonna fix all that later. So I'm just looking at the shape and make sure there's no big ridges. So I'll probably move that piece on. Same with this piece. I think it's close enough. So I'll go through the rest of these off camera and come back and show you what was done. Okay, so a couple observations. This is what we got done. So I'm being somewhere between extremely meticulous on how picky I'm being and how I am with labradorite, where I leave a lot of imperfections because I'm worried about how it's going to crack later. You can see I've left out some. I want to be easy on the stone and try not to break it, but I do want it to be shaped pretty nicely. But I think we're going to have some cool pieces here when it's done. I haven't left any like big stuff, but just maybe a few imperfections. Being how this is supposed to be really soft, maybe some of those will work out in stage 2. I have a theory on maybe why this is taking longer than I expected, is because I literally filled the entire barrel clear up to the top with the ceramic media, and maybe that has just made it go a lot slower by design, which I think is okay. It's easier on the rock, but makes it tumble slower than normal if you didn't have the barrel full. So I've already filled it with some extra. I'm not going to fill it clear to the top this week, about 3/4. So I'm going to run this for probably 4 days and check on it. Possibly not reload for another 7 days, but we're just going to have to look and see how it is. So we'll check back up with you. I'm just going to run 2 scoops of grit in the water, and then we'll check back up in 4 days. Okay guys, it's been 4 days on fluorite. I don't know if I'm going to completely reload this. I'm just going to pull a couple pieces out and see how they're doing. Piece still has a long way to go. Maybe I'm just crazy, but this does not seem nearly as soft as other people made it seem. That piece is, I mean, it's close, but still got a lot of issues on this side. Doesn't seem to be getting overly beat up either. Same here, just really not even close. So I am going to just keep this running as if it was still going for 7 days, and we will check back with you in 3 more days at this point. Thanks. Okay guys, it's been 3 more days on the fluorite, which means 7 total without a recharge. So we're just going to pour it all out and recharge regardless. Got kind of a sticky slurry. How we're looking. And we're still going to have some time to go for sure. Still a lot to work out on this side. I don't know if this is normal for fluorite, but I'm really seem to be having a different experience than most people I've talked to about it. Not that it's bad. I kind of like it being hard, but I would not have liked the results had I done it the way I was told. That piece is going to be a long time. Maybe this isn't good fluorite, I don't know. Like I said, this is a first for me. That piece is real close, but not done. It's also real pretty. Long, long way to go. Well, I'll check the rest of this. If there is any ready to go, I will show it to you. If not, I'm just going to run 7 more days. I'm not even going to do the 4-day check, I don't think. I'm not seeing, I mean, we're not even using all the grit. As you can see, there are still grit pieces, not just sludge. But we'll do 7 more days and check on it then. Okay, so we did have a few pieces done. All pretty small, but we are getting somewhere. So I'm going to reload. We lost a lot of capacity in the barrel. Reload and run for 7 more days. We'll see you then. Okay guys, it has been 6 more days on our fluorite, and I have not opened it to check it in any way. Definitely done some grinding. There are a lot smaller pieces in there. Seems like we used up more of the grit this time too. There's still some, for sure, but less than last time. I know I'm doing this much different than most fluorite instructions. Let's see how it works out. Maybe it will fail miserably, but I think I'm going to be happy with the results. This one's still got some pretty good holes here, so we're going to keep it going. Same with this piece. Man, they're cool though. Same with this one. The big pieces especially seem to have a lot more strength than most people say. I think I am going to move this piece on. It's close enough. Got a little bit of an issue right here, but I think this is soft enough rock that most of that should work out in the next stage. Not even close. This one's a tough decision because this is really not good, but I'm not sure that's ever going to get good. And if I keep going too long, it might crack right there, but I'm going to keep running this. I like that a little bit better. This piece is done. Looks really nice. See if I can show you some of the lighting in there. I'm going to move that one on. I'll check the rest of these off camera. If there's any others done, I'll come and let you know. Otherwise, I'm going to come back when we reload the barrel. Okay, so this ended up being a pretty productive week for fluorite. What's going on? I'll show you, add this to what we already have. We're getting a pretty good batch here. So I'm going to go over and refill the barrel here shortly. Okay, so we refilled the barrel with a ton of new. I am getting pretty close to out of rough, so I'm going to add the rest of my ceramics back into this, refill it with 2 tablespoons of grit, even though it's a 3-pound barrel, and I'll check it in 5 or 6 days again. Thanks. Okay, it's been another week on the fluorite. Let's take a look. Here's what we've got. Let's take a look at what's going to be done. That piece is going to be ready to go. Big piece, not even close. Big piece, ready to go. Big piece close, but no cigar. This one's going to be ready to go. Look at one more little one. Also ready to go. So we'll look through the rest of these off camera and come show you what we have when we're done. Okay, so we had a lot done. I'll show you in just a minute, but I had to use all the rest of my rough that I have, and then I still had to add some even more ceramic just to fill the rest of the barrel. So I'm thinking after one more week we're probably going to have to be done, but we're going to refill this for one more week. Here's our haul from this week. Got about 10 rocks, so hopefully one more week we'll be done. Okay guys, it's been 5 days here checking on the fluorite. I'm leaving town, so I can't do it at the even week. if you'll remember right, I'm out of rough. We've had to add a lot of ceramics. But let's see what we got. That piece isn't even close. That's got a ways to go. That's got a ways to go. Oops. Long way to go here. Quite a ways to go here. So I'm going to go through the rest of this. If there's any done, I'm sure there's going to be some. I'll show you what's done at the end, and then we'll have to refill. Okay, we have a bunch more little pieces done. We have very little rough left going in there, so I'm going to add some more ceramics, run one more week, and then hopefully we're ready to move on to stage 2. Just to give you a visual reminder real quick, this is how much we have done, ready to move on to the next round. So it's going to be a good batch. Thanks. Okay, it's been another week on fluorite. Let's see what we got. So I'm mostly expecting to just move everything on, if it's close. So far those are. Those 3 are all done. This one still has a long way to go, as does this one. As does this one. So I'm going to go through the rest of these off camera and then make a decision. Okay, so we have everything done except these few pieces. This is what we have done so far. I'm not going to have... Well, actually, I will have barrel space. For some reason I was thinking I was putting these in the vibratory tumbler. But I'm going to keep this going in the rotary tumbler and then do a dry polish. So, with that being said, I'm probably going to set these aside and finish them in a future batch of fluorite and move this batch on to stage 2. Okay guys, I've got my barrel cleaned with dish soap and we're ready to reload for stage 2 with the fluorite. I am going to do this a little different. I mean, there's so many different things online and some of them seem crazy. People are running them for like 12 hours is all, but I'm going to check these at 2 days, maybe run them for 3 days, maybe run them for a week. My stage 1 took way longer than normal. And I wonder if it's because I'm filling the barrel more and using ceramics so they can't beat each other up. But I'm going to continue doing that, but here's everything we finished in that first step. See how full the barrel is. Barrel is pretty darned full, about exactly 2/3. But I'm still going to add just a few ceramics. Just so there's not a lot of room for them to move around, beat each other up, and crack. Just a couple handfuls will help just get down in all those crevices. That'll be perfect. You can see this is really where I do things a little different, but I'm almost to the top, so there's not going to be as much tumbling as normal going on. I am going to fill this with water like normal, And then I'm going to do about 2.5 scoops of 220 silicon carbide. Then I'm going to be checking on it again at 2 days, and maybe go, depending how they look, keep going, but we'll just play that by ear. Thanks. Okay guys, it's been 4 days on our step 2 fluorite. Let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, here's what we got so far. And I will say it's not smooth, but it's definitely smoother, which obviously makes sense because we've been in 220. Got some pretty pieces. It doesn't look like anything lost too crazy amount of volume. And I think that's because I am filling the barrel right up. But I think these look good enough. Really, really pretty pieces, but I think these look good enough that we're just going to clean everything really good. I'm going to clean each one by hand just to make sure it's good to go. I'm going to clean the barrel by hand, and then we are going to move on to step 3, which is 500 grit. We're going to load it the exact same way as the last round. I'm going to load it clear up to the top and do 3 more days in 500 grit, and then we'll check on them then. Okay guys, it's been 4 more days on our 500 grit stage. Let's see how we're looking. It's very frothy, as has been normal with this rock. Very frothy. Now let's see how few are looking. I can say that any feeling of grittiness is gone. And I would say they're looking really nice. Just a really cool material. Maybe a closer up look here. Just lots of color variety. So we're looking good. I'm going to clean these off very, very well. Clean out the barrel very well, and then we're going to reload same way as last time. We're going to go into our 1000 grit stage. I don't normally run this stage, but on this rock I think it will be beneficial. So we're going to do a 1000 grit stage for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll get ready for final polish in the dry polish. We'll see you in 3 days. Okay, so we're here after the extra fine stage on our fluorite. So we should be able to move this onto the dry polish, but let's check it out. Okay, let's take a look at a few of them here. And I can tell you just on feel that they feel really nice. Still got some cool colors. And they feel extra smooth. Let me just dry one and see if that took any kind of a shine yet. Give me just a second. Here's dry. It's not bad, but it's not super shiny yet. And so we're going to go through and hand clean each of these very, very carefully. Very carefully. And then we're going to move them on to dry polish. We'll show you that in a few minutes. Okay, so we've got everything dried out or cleaned. Now we're just going to let it air dry because you have to be completely dry before you go into dry polish. And that includes the tumbler, which has been cleaned with soap inside. And so you just have to let everything dry real good, and then we'll be back to load. Okay, so we're getting ready to start the fluorite in the dry polish. So we have this corncob media. And we are going to have to polish these probably in either 2 or 3 sets because you can't fill the barrel like you would normally with wet polish. But we're going to start by filling this about 2/3 with the corncob media. I might have overdone it. Yeah, just a little. Okay, and so for this amount, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the aluminum oxide polish. So it just goes in here. And then I'm just going to swirl this around here. I'm going to put the lid on and just shake it up so it kind of mixes in, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got that mostly mixed in here. And so I'm going to just take random stones from our pile, and you just kind of shove it down into there. It's going to be kind of messy. You just add a few in at a time. You want to get a good mix of sizes. Make sure you can get them down into there. Sometimes it helps to put the lid back on and shake it up and so it mixes in better. I'm going to do just a few more. And then I'm just going to shake these up and mix them in real good when I'm done. Okay, so I've got about 1/3 of my overall material in here. You can see it's just mixed in real nice. So we're going to start running this for 3 days. Sometimes it may take up to a week, but I'm going to run this just normal speed and check on it in 3 days. And then we're going to redo this obviously 2 to 3 times. With how much material I have, I'm looking at, it's probably going to be 3 times. But we'll check on it in 3 days. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. We just got the first set out of the tumbler, and I ended up, there was so much polish in all the little crevices that I ran them through the sonic cleaner. I don't know if that's a great idea with rocks this soft, but I don't see any additional damage. But we'll show you up close when everything's done, but they're looking pretty good, I would say. They're still wet right now, but they did take some polish. One thing to note, I already loaded the second batch of the 3 that I need to do, but you can reuse the corn cob and polish. You don't have to reload. You just put more in the barrel and run them. We'll check on you in 5 more days. Okay, guys. So after our mishap with our first of 3 batches of fluorite, I am going to try something different. So these are all the ones, the last 2 that were out of dry polish. So I filled up with just some water, and then I'm going to add some borax and use these, 1 second. Use these foam blocks from National Geographic to put in here, and then I'm just going to try a borax bath and use these to cushion it. And then we will see if that gives a better result than our first try. Okay, here is our fluorite after the borax bath with the foam cubes. For the record, I don't believe, as Nat Geo claims, that these cubes polish anything. I only put these in because they're soft to help cushion the soft rocks that would normally be rubbing on each other. I don't think that if they look great, I don't think it's because of these cubes. Many hot debates online about the foam cubes. So I'm going to get these inside, cleaned off and dried off, and we'll look at the results. Okay guys, we are done with the fluorite. This batch was one of the more interesting batches of rocks I have done. I would say probably my biggest failure batch, but I think it's important to show the bad work and the good work, and then someone can maybe learn from this. Some of this was self-inflicted, and some of it I just don't think that I had very good high quality fluorite as the base rock either. And just, it's a really kind of a terrible rock to work with to begin with. But as you can see, this side looks okay, and everything on this side looks like complete garbage basically. I did, so as you know, in the dry polish, this was actually 3 different batches in the tumbler. And after the first one, I think I did too many at once. That was these rocks, and then I decided to clean them. There's so many fractures in fluorite anyway that I decided to clean them with my sonic cleaner, which I kind of knew I shouldn't do. And the results were pretty catastrophic, I would say. This is the only one I would say is still kind of cool, and it's just because it gives it some cool catches of light on the inside. But you can see it was pretty severely damaged by fractures inside the rock. Here's probably the best example. Just fractures everywhere from that sonic cleaner. Not to say that they were perfect beforehand. Some of these would have been really cool if we could have kept them. Some of this rainbow fluorite is really cool stuff. But you can just see just horrible cracking. See if there's a worse example here. Another really bad one. So those are pretty much completely useless. They are going to be gravel in my windowsill. But some of these in this other batch, this is the one I just did with the borax clean. Just filled the barrel with borax and then did a wet borax clean with the National Geographic foam blocks. And while they're not perfect, they are much better. So fluorite isn't going to take like a rainbow shine, and it's always going to have some fracturing, but you can see just night and day on the inside. But it's still a really pretty rock, and I like how these turned out. I just, overall, not some of my better work, I would say. If other people have tried this and got way better results, I would love to hear how. I just kind of suspect that, I mean, a lot of the rough was already fractured before we even started, so I'm probably being harder than I need to be. But we'll just show you some of my favorite pieces, because there are still some cool things here. These big green ones seem to have turned out the best. These rainbow ones are really cool when they work. Purple piece. So even in the good batch, still plenty of fractures. Like I say, a lot of those were pre-existing when we even started. I don't know if it's possible to tumble fluorite and do much better. But again, I'm always open to hear advice. This one's really cool, but took a beating. This one almost has some blue in it. It's got one side that one corner took a real good beating. This one's kind of a lime green. This one did really good until it broke in the cleaning stage. That's all it took. Had one big fracture, but otherwise would have been a real pretty piece. This one's cool. I love the ones with purple streaks. Sorry, a little bit of water left on that one. Hair's dry. That's a piece that would have been way, way cool. But the outside has some issues for sure. Another piece almost completely clear and transparent. And that marking stuff is all on the inside. I don't know if you can tell there. Here's one that turned out really smooth and took a pretty good shine. So, overall, definitely not one of my favorite batches. But having seen other people struggle with this rock, it makes me wonder maybe I'm not completely crazy. Not to say we didn't get anything that I like, but just not one of the better batches I have ever done. But here's one more piece. I'd love to hear what you have, or see what you finish if you try some. Love to hear any advice. Thanks so much for watching.